For some people, the outdoors is a hobby. For others, it's a lifestyle. Torque wheels are built for the ones who chase sunrise on the water, track game through the timber, and spend weekends towing boats, campers, and ATVs to the next adventure. With a full lineup of wheel sizes and fitments for trucks, SUVs, vans, trailers, and RVs, Torque wheels are made to match your lifestyle and your rig. Wherever you go, whatever you haul, visit torquewheels.com to find a retailer near you.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Robert Arrington from Deer Meat for Dinner. If you're as serious as I am about bow fishing, check out Cajun Bow Fishing. No matter where you go or what you do, from the beginners all the way to the pro, Cajun makes stuff for everybody. Everything they make works. Compound bows, recurve bows, accessories, everything. They make it so easy to get dialed in so that every shot counts. I've been using Cajun for years, all over the place. Down Florida, across the Midwest, everywhere. Everywhere I go, it works because they make stuff that you can trust. Be sure to check out Cajun Bow Fishing to see their full lineup.
Scree Gear is more than apparel. It's a tribute to the relentless, the tireless, the true guardians of the wilderness. It's for those who seek not just a game, but a legacy. Not just a sport, but a way of life. In our gear, you're more than a hunter. You're a story, a tradition, a legend in the making. Scree is your journey, your triumph, your success. Join the working man revolution. Success awaits.
I could kind of get up out of the bed and you know, I had like this little like walking thing that they kind of gave me. And I just kind of went, and then I saw him standing up in his little room, and I'm like, oh man, he's alive. This is great. And he just comes up. He's like, thank you so much. He goes, and he's crying. He's like, I'd be dead if it wasn't for you.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and we got a doozy for you today. Today, we connected with Michael Constantine. He actually hit me up yesterday, and I'm posting this, or we recorded today, and then the episode comes out tomorrow, Monday. And he gave me about a paragraph, and I was like, if this is even half of this is true, this is going to be one of the best stories we've ever heard on the podcast. So, and he didn't disappoint. Michael has a crazy story about last hunting season. Needless to say, he nearly died. So I'm not going to steal much of his thunder, man, but I want you guys to listen to this thing. A little bit longer episode, not that long, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And, heed some of the advice that Michael gives at the end. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate you. Now we'll go ahead and let Mike tell you some of his stories. All right, Mike. Welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast, brother. How are you?
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, super excited to have you here, man. You hit me up, and you started telling a tale that and you're telling me I got only 1/15 of. I couldn't believe it to begin with, and I stopped reading. I was like, all right, let's just get on and hear what happened to this guy. And so I'm excited to have you here, Mike. Let's do this real quick. Why don't you introduce yourself so the folks know who they're hearing some stories from today?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Florida. Been in Florida my whole life, other than when I served in the Marine Corps, where I traveled around the world quite a bit and spent a lot of time in a lot of fun places. Married for, going on 28 years together with my wife now. Got a couple of kids, and got into hunting later in life. I grew up fishing. I used to tournament fish, saltwater, freshwater, you name it. I've caught every fish I could possibly ever want to catch. When I was stationed in Hawaii, I did the same thing. I used to volunteer to work on a fishing boat for, big game and go out for marlin and ahi and all those things. And Hawaii is a very interesting place. You need to earn your place on that boat because they will test you. And, the captain happened to be a guy that was from Montana. The first owner was a guy that was from Florida. And as soon as I get out there, they're like, oh, okay, let's see what you can do. Tie us some knots. I said, which one do you want to tie? And I'm just sitting there tying knots left and right. He goes, okay, you actually know your stuff. So we'll let you come on this trip. We'll kind of see how you do. And I always spent a lot of time in the water, and then once I moved onto some acreage here in Florida, I had a real good buddy of mine. He's a great, great hunter. And he's like, you have no idea what you live on. And this is going back to 2016. Okay. And I said, I don't really know I'm not following you here. What's going on? And so he starts showing me like all the deer that come from, the land that I live on, the surrounding areas, because it's state-owned land. And so then I just, he went out, I got a compound bow, learned how to shoot it real well, out to 60, 70 yards. I mean, I've shot, targets out to 102 yards is the furthest I've hit. And I just got really addicted to bow hunting, because in the military, awesome. You shoot weapons all the time. And I mean, to me, anybody can shoot an animal with a gun, but to get up close to it and actually get it with a bow, like that's traditional primal hunting to me. Nothing against gun hunters. I mean, I've gun hunted, plenty of times, but I just prefer bow.
A question I have for you is, like, I understand why a hunter would buy just like a plot of land in the middle of Florida. Like, you're a fisherman. Was there, like, what was it for you that made that property like the one that you wanted to buy, being that you hadn't hunted yet?
So I run a real estate company, and I've been a part of a lot of different companies and investing in businesses for quite a while now. And I go to auctions, or I was going to auctions, and this property just happened to come up at an auction, and I had never heard of the neighborhood before, so I took a drive, and I literally bought the house, and then I showed it to my wife, so I took a really big gamble on it, because we were living in the house like where my kids were born and stuff, and we immediately sold that house, bought this place, because it was just something that, for me, I didn't come from privilege. I grew up in an apartment. It was me, my brother, my sister, and eventually my parents got a house, smaller. I think it was like 1,500 square feet, something like that. But it was like the Taj Mahal to us. And when I saw this house come up and I saw what it was going for at auction, I'm like, I'll never be able to afford that in my lifetime. So I bought it. And fortunately, I've got a little bit of a background with remodeling homes, and I did house flipping. I own a bunch of rentals, stuff like that. So I said, This is just going to be a lipstick job. This will be an easy house to renovate. And it turned out to be a bit more than what I thought, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, because in my line of work, I'm in houses every day. So I wanted some distance between me and my neighbors, where most of the neighborhoods in Florida, you can reach out your window and touch your neighbor's house, and I just didn't want that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you just found a diamond in the rough, and you knew that you could spit shine it a little bit. Okay. Very cool. All right. So then you got into compound shooting, which I totally get. I did the same thing. When I picked up my bow, it was for the weather. Here in Colorado, I was like, you know what? It's a little too cold to hunt in November every year. I'd like to try the September thing. And then it was 3D shooting that got me addicted. It was shooting outside, not at like a range at a piece of paper. But it is so addicting. All right. Yeah. So your buddy comes on and gets you. Did he just say straight, I'm going to have you shooting a bow, or was that your choice, or what was that?
Well, in the neighborhood where I'm at, you can't shoot weapons. It's got an HOA, and, obviously they don't want weapons being shot. And so he goes, let's just get you into bow hunting. And so, we called FWC, Florida Wildlife, and said, hey, are we allowed to shoot animals in the backyard? He's like, yeah, if it comes on your property, then they can't stop you. Like, you're allowed. And so within, I would say, a week of me getting a compound bow, I got my first buck, because he introduced me to it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had to learn how to use a climber, which that was very interesting, because, in Florida, we get wind quite a bit, and it'll blow you left and right while you're in a tree. And, shot a buck right in the backyard, and now we're at the point now where we just kind of like, I don't want to say we manage that area at all, but we won't touch anything less than an 8-point. And when I first got here, I'm like, man, there's like bucks everywhere. And he goes, nah, just let them get healthy. And so that's how I got introduced to hunting. And we have more wild boar than I know what to do with. So
really,
those are, yeah, I trap for a lot of the neighbors in my neighborhood. The most we've ever gotten is about 47 in a month. And
wow, okay, that's plenty.
It doesn't even make a dent. There's hundreds of them back here, hundreds of them, and I've been chased up trees and all that stuff. I mean, it's
crazy.
Real thick. It's almost like swamp. So you can't really see an animal till you get right on top of it.
What region roughly? Like, are you near
Northwest Tampa?
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
yeah. Very
cool. Well, that's interesting. So, do you process all the hog meat, or you just scrap it and get rid of it?
I used to. Now I donate it if I got a lot of buddies that want the meat, And so I'll just give it to them because I've eaten more wild boar than I ever care to eat. That was it was a pretty stable diet of wild boar for a while there. And then, the whitetail, like your other guest that you had on, that was I think it was an Army Ranger, if I remember. Similar thing where I just load my freezer usually once a year. I go out west every year for big game. So I get moose or elk or whatever I'm hunting. I just came back from a bear hunt 3 weeks ago. And I try to stay away from grocery stores as much as I can.
Hell yeah. All right. So how long of shooting hogs and deer in your backyard before you were like, let's go big game, let's go out west?
About a year and a half to 2 years, because I didn't know if I was like, I wanted to get right into it. I mean, I've always been kind of an adrenaline junkie, and to me, there's nothing I've experienced, period, that gives you the adrenaline of elk bugling and then trying to call them in and get close. And, I've been fortunate that I run a business to where I can take the time off, where when I used to work in corporate America, that never would have been possible. But, I've been running businesses for quite a while, so it gives me the freedom to do what I want.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. That makes sense. Well, let's dive into it. I know you got an epic saga for us here, so why don't you just sort of set the stage from your feet down in Florida until your feet got back to Florida?
Okay, so I got a call randomly. I was sitting at my kitchen table, and I get a call from the head of hunting for the White Mountain Apache Indian tribe, which is like right next to San Carlos, and I mean, just a dream. I never applied for a tag there or anything. I just got a call one day. And it's kind of a funny story behind the call because I got a lot of my
that's what I was going to ask. Is like, why? Why is that guy calling you?
And that's immediately what I asked him. So I got a lot of my Marine Corps brothers that live out west. And I thought it was one of them messing with me. And the guy calls me up. He says, this is so-and-so. He gave his position with the tribe. And I said, oh, okay, this is Mike from the Slapaho tribe. And he goes, excuse me? And I said, oh, my God, dude, I'm so sorry. I said, I thought you were one of my military brothers messing with me. He goes, no, I'm not messing with you. So I said, okay. I kind of broke the ice a little bit. But, I could tell he was a little upset when I said it. But I was like, I seriously thought it was one of my Marine brothers because I had never seen this phone number before. So he calls me up and he just says, hey, I want to invite you. I got your information from another tribal member that saw you online. It turns out that they had done a post. So he reaches out to me and he says, hey, I got your information from another tribal member. And there was a post that they had made online about somebody killed like a, typical Res Bowl. I shouldn't say typical, but they get giants out there. And it was like I think it was like a 458.5 or something. And everybody that was on that post was writing negative comments towards the tribe. And I was just like, okay, why would you do that? So I just said, hey, beautiful bull. Congratulations to the hunter. Congratulations to the guide. I would be happy with something half that size. And then I just got a call, like randomly. And so I'm like, holy cow. And I'm literally shaking at my kitchen table because this is like the call of a lifetime. Like this is where, famous hunters like, Rogan and Cam Hanes, and they get to hunt this stuff, not like just a common guy like me. So he says, I want to invite you out. And he goes, I want to invite you out as a guest of the tribe for a management bull hunt. So management out there is just a 5x5. They want it out of the genetic pool. And he sends me a video of another famous hunter. If you know who Hushin is, Hushin's got a TV show and all that. Yeah. So when I got there, that guy was in camp with us. Super nice guy. I mean, his whole team was awesome. I think he brought his dad and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so there's all, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at these, like what they call management bulls, and these things are monsters. I mean, absolute dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here like, I can't believe this. So for the next, month and a half, I'm literally shooting 100 arrows a day because I got an archery range in my backyard. And I'm like so excited to get out there. So I fly out there. You got to fly into this little airport called Sholo, which is like a tiny, tiny little airport right outside the res. And by the way, before I go any further, just because I've posted this story in a lot of review sites, Archery Talk, Rock Slide. I tried to post it in Bowsite, but Bowsite for whatever reason won't post it, which is fine. It's their website, but I've emailed them asking why they won't post it. So if people are doubting here, before we get into the story, here's my hospital band from when I was in the Apache Tribe's hospital.
Okay.
Here's my tag. that I actually have from the reservation right there. There's the back of their tag. It's got their little symbol on it and everything. Here's the contract that they send you from the White Mountain Apache Indians. And because you'll understand later, here's the envelope with a partial reimbursement that they gave me for my hunt. And you'll understand why as it goes on.
Yeah.
So that's for all the people who go ahead.
Dude, I mean, first off, that teaches, I think, everyone listening, hopefully, like a little positivity online. Like, it goes a long way. And like sometimes it's a little bit of a lottery in your case, right? It went a real long way for you. But in general, I think we need to be encouraging our, other hunters more. So I love that that's what you did, and that by itself got the attention and got you this opportunity. So I'm overly positive. People are like, you need to calm down, but like, nope, I love it. I'm always positive about everything, and I love that that's how this story begins. But keep going, man. I'm sorry.
I just never thought in the hunting world that hunters would hate on other hunters, especially given what I went through. You can read it in the comments on some of those things, and I'm just like mind boggled at how nasty people can be for like no reason. But anyway, so that's the proof that all this stuff did actually happen. And so I arrived September 12th, I believe it was, of last year.
Okay. When
you first get there, they bring you into their whole like auditorium tribal area, and they sit you down, and you are very clear. I mean, they make it crystal clear what you can shoot and what you can't shoot. They have they have two bulls that are on the side of a wall right by the mess hall. And they say, this bull you can shoot, and if you shoot a bull that's like that, you will be kicked off the reservation and you'll never come back. And I mean, they are very serious about that because they want to keep certain bulls in their herd. So if it's a 5x6, even if it's a tiny little kicker, you can't shoot it.
Okay.
What's a little strange is that part of that presentation, they say that your guide, if it's not a bull that they've seen, they have to send a picture to the head guide. He has to approve it, and then you can shoot it. Well, obviously, if you're in the mountains, cell service is kind of like limited, and we came across bulls that happened with, and by the time that the guide texts back, it's like an hour later, that bull's gone. So it makes the hunt difficult. I understand why they do that on their land, and I have no problem with how they operate their res hunting.
Yeah, I mean, they're making opportunity for themselves. They're putting food on their table, right? Because Joe Rogan's going to come and pay $45,000, and oil tycoons are going to come and pay for. And so you keep the caliber of the animal up that high, like people will pay. And it's like African hunting, right? It's their livelihood. So I get it.
So when we get there, they first take you to like this big open field, and there's just hundreds, if not thousands, of elk. Like, it doesn't exist for regular hunters. It's almost not fair. Okay. And I'm looking through my binos, and he's like, oh, check this one out. The guy that invited me there is like, check this out, through my spotting scope. So I look through, I'm like, oh my God, that's an absolute giant. He's like, no, that's only like a 350. I go, that's a monster. Like, to see an animal like that, that's a monster. But he's like, no, we wouldn't shoot that one. So they kind of get you all excited, and you do see bulls. I saw bulls every day I was there. From the closest one was maybe 10 yards away that I could have shot, but my guide didn't know that I could shoot it, because they do have a rule that if you see a cull bull, a deformed bull with a drop tine or messed up antlers or something like that, you can shoot it, and then you just pay them an additional fee. So the first morning, you generally go out at about 04:30, and every hunter has their own assigned area that they have to go to. So I got paired up with the oldest guide in the tribe. I think he had to be somewhere around 68 to 70 years old, older guy, but he could hike. I mean, he was in shape for an older guy. And then they paired me up with what they call a bird dog, which is like a guide's apprentice. Now, this guy was a super nice guy, but he knew absolutely zero about hunting. He knew zero about land navigation, and you'll understand why that's important as the story goes on.
Okay.
So we go out the first day, and we're, bulls are screaming everywhere. It's literally a fantasy land for elk hunters. So I understand why they pay big money to go to these places, and that's fine. And there was plenty of big money guys that were there. Apparently George Strait had hunted, I think, the week before me or something like that, is what one of the guides told me. I guess he goes there, quite a bit. And so I think it was him and his son.
I know that they give you reimbursement. Are you willing to say how much they did charge you? I'm sure it's less than what they're charging the big bull boys, but I'm just curious, as a coal hunt
Yeah,
Go
their
ahead.
management hunts are like 10 grand,
Hmm.
which their management hunts to me are still trophy because they're monster bulls. And
Yeah.
then they have their trophy hunts that they go up, and I think they start at 25 grand. But the problem is, on that res, and a lot of the guys that were there, extremely wealthy individuals, we all talked. We're sitting around, camp, and they put you in this little lodge. It has 4 bedrooms in it, and you just kind of, everybody knows everybody. These guys have been hunting there for years.
Yeah.
And they're showing me pictures of bulls that they've shot. And, some of them are very impressive, and others are like, oh, okay, well, they call them a sausage bull. So if it's something that's not like a trophy for these guys, which trophies are 385 and above, that's what they classify there. They call it a sausage bowl. And I'm like, dude, that
Okay.
sausage bowl would be on my wall. That's a giant. You don't understand,
Yeah.
for a public land hunter guy, that doesn't exist. So we go out the first morning. We're hiking everywhere. We're seeing animals. I mean, just all over the place. But you can't shoot any of them because every 5x5 that we saw had a tiny little kicker on it. And then I would say the overwhelming majority that we saw, if it's a 5x6, even if it's a tiny kicker, you're not allowed to shoot it. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just having a great time. We're hiking. The land is beautiful. It's gorgeous. You're seeing, we see bears everywhere. There was mountain lions. There's, elk. They have wolves out there as well. And
Okay.
so, great first day. We go to dinner that night, and I'm sitting at dinner, and I like to crack jokes. It's just who I am. I like to be, I like to make base camp a fun place. And there's
Yeah.
some base camps where it's kind of challenging to do that depending on who's there. But in this place, everybody was a little bit stiff the first night. So I'm just sitting here cracking jokes, and all the tribal guys are just sitting there talking to me. And we go out the next morning. We the bird dog was sick. I mean, this guy was coughing like really, really not well. Like he's sweating. You could tell he had a fever and stuff. So I
Huh.
went to the guide and I said, hey, do you mind if he stays back? Because I think with his coughing and everything, number one, he shouldn't be in the woods. Number two, he's going to scare off the animals. And he goes, well, yeah, we'll let him stay home this afternoon. I'm like, okay, well, I kind of want him to stay home now. And
Yeah, I remember this
he
morning.
still brought him.
Okay.
So we had a bull coming in that was a shooter bull, like we saw it. And this guy, the bird dog, was maybe 20 yards behind us, 30 yards behind us, because I was positioned behind a tree. The guide was a little bit forward calling. And I mean, we see the antlers coming, and this guy goes, and that bull just took off. I mean, just took off. Now, normally I'd be pissed off, but I was like, I still want to stay here for another 4 or 5 days and hunt. This is like incredible. So I'm sure I'll get another shot at a bull. And so we go ahead, we go back to camp. The guide comes up to me, says, I'm going to tell him to stay home. You probably should have got that bull. And, I said, no problem. I go, it is what it is. I go, but, he should have stayed home because he's sick. I don't want to get sick. I said,
Yeah.
I have another hunt. I have another hunt that I'm supposed to go to in Colorado when I'm done hunting here, and I can't afford to get sick.
Yeah.
So for me, I always bring everything with me. Like I'll bring in ivermectin, azithromycin, Cipro. So if somebody in camp's sick, I'm not going to, be dying. At least I'll have some antibiotics on me and stuff. So that night we go out and we hunt, and, we're seeing bulls everywhere, but there was just no way to make a move on them. And so the guide says, hey, we're going to go to a different spot tomorrow because I've seen good bulls there. So I said, okay, great. I go, I'll go wherever you want. When I'm with an outfitter, I don't question them. I just say, I'm going to do what you tell me to do. This is your land, your business, and I'm just, a hunter from out of state. So the next morning, that night, we go to the chow hall. And, we're all in the chow hall, and the head of the hunting pulls me aside, guy by the name of Wayne Amos. And he says, look, man, can I talk to you for a minute? I'm like, yeah, what's going on? He goes, I just want to let you know, like, we're really happy that you're here. Most of these guys are so stiff, and you're just making it fun at dinner, at breakfast, at lunch. Like, you're
Yeah.
cracking jokes. He goes, I'd really like you to come back next year. And I'm like, holy cow, seriously? He goes, I also want you to bring a friend. So I was like, okay, great. So I go ahead, and I'm like, all right, well, my one buddy that got me into hunting refuses to go out with a guide. He's just that guy. Like
Yeah.
And I love him for it. He does not want another man walking him through the woods to show him stuff. He's a very, very good hunter from Florida, but he's really, really good at what he does. So I call another buddy of mine, and I put him on the phone, and, Wayne is like, yeah, he goes, we'll be happy to have you in camp. He's going to come next year, give me your contact info. He gets his contact info. So I'm like, okay, great. And this guy calls me like an hour later, like almost crying. He's like, dude, you have no idea how much this means to me. I said, look, man, we were in hunt camp together. I go, you're an awesome dude. I go, how could I not invite you? You know, we stay in touch. I talk to him all the time. And so we go ahead, had a great dinner, go to bed. 4:30 the next morning, the guide pulls up. And he still has the bird dog in the back seat. And this guy's still coughing and sweating. And he's just eating cough drops like it's candy. And I said, look, not for nothing, but yesterday, you know, I told you I did not want the bird dog to come. And he's a nice guy, but he's sick. Like, he's really sick. And then they just start speaking Apache to each other, which, according to this lovely book right here that they give you, they're only allowed to speak English when clients are there. They're not supposed to speak Apache. And they spoke Apache the whole time. That's fine. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Again, it's in their rule book. They're not supposed to do it. So he just doesn't listen. And we go out and we go to a new place and we're hunting like an aspen forest. And, you know, we get to probably within 100 yards of a herd. And the bull that was in that herd looked, from what we could see, like a legitimate 5x5. So we're like trying to get up on him, and then the wind changed, and then the bull ran towards the top of the mountain. So the guide, he says, let's get in the truck and we're going to drive up to the top of the mountain and try to cut him off. I said, great, no problem, let's go. So we drive for probably 45 minutes because the roads are just atrocious as you're driving up some of these places. And you got to go, 5 miles an hour, super slow, whatever. So we get up to the top, and this is where things, took a turn. We get to the top of this mountain. We're looking around. We see zero sign of elk. We're not seeing any scrapes. We're not seeing any rubs. We're not seeing any, droppings. We're not seeing anything.
Okay.
So the guide goes, I know that they're here. I'm going to go to the top of the mountain, which is probably, 300-400 yards straight up. He goes, you guys stay here. And then he points at the bird dog. He goes, I want you to take him back to the truck. The truck was probably a half a mile away, 3/4 of a mile away. So to try and paint the picture, like I'm, on our little square right here on the podcast, the truck would have been this way. He went this way.
Gotcha.
And so
45
I said
degrees
to him,
off. Yeah.
Oh, he was way off. I mean, again, he had zero. I didn't know until this point that this guy had zero land navigation skills. And I've been through land navigation, jungle warfare training, a lot of stuff, survival school in the Marine Corps, all that stuff. And so I go ahead.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Robert Arrington from Deer Meat for Dinner. If you're as serious as I am about bow fishing, check out Cajun Bow Fishing. No matter where you go or what you do, from the beginners all the way to the pro, Cajun makes stuff for everybody. Everything they make works. Compound bows, recurve bows, accessories, everything. They make it so easy to get dialed in so that every shot counts. I've been using Cajun for years, all over the place, down in Florida, across the Midwest, everywhere. Everywhere I go, it works because they make stuff that you can trust. Be sure to check out Cajun Bow Fishing to see their full lineup.
For some people, the outdoors is a hobby. For others, it's a lifestyle. Torque wheels are built for the ones who chase sunrise on the water, track game through the timber, and spend weekends towing boats, campers, and ATVs to the next adventure. With a full lineup of wheel sizes and fitments for trucks, SUVs, vans, trailers, and RVs, Torque wheels are made to match your lifestyle and your rig. Wherever you go, whatever you haul, visit torquewheels.com to find a retailer near you.
When the hunt matters, trust the gear that's built to perform. At Scree Gear, we design premium hunting apparel that keeps you comfortable, concealed, and ready for whatever the mountain throws your way. From early season spot and stalk hunts to late season extremes, Scree Gear is trusted by hunters who refuse to compromise. And if you want to sharpen your skills and follow real hunting adventures, watch Scree TV on Waypoint TV. Visit ScreeGear.com to gear up today. Then catch Scree TV on Waypoint TV and experience the hunt like never before.
And I'm like, okay, let me follow this guy and, see what happens. So we're about 45 minutes into the hike, and just the most horrendous hailstorm hits us. I mean, It was high winds, big pieces of hail. We're just getting pelted, but we're up in aspen trees right now. So I looked down the mountain a little bit and I said, hey man, we need to go down there and get to those spruce trees so we can hide underneath them, because this hail is like pelting us in the head, everywhere. And we're wearing like, I don't know if you know, like the outdoor fishing shirts that you wear when you go offshore fishing. They're real thin.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
in the mornings, we would always wear semi-warm clothes, like just skinny, shirts and maybe like one undershirt or something like that. That morning, it was like 75 degrees, maybe in the 60s. And so we just wore those shirts, and we, don't bring any warm weather gear because we're only going to be out till roughly 9:30 or 10. Great. So I always just leave my rain gear in my pack. And so I'm like, all right, let me lighten my pack a little bit so I don't have my warm stuff, because we're going to be back at the truck in no time. So this guy's navigating, and he's going the complete wrong way. Now we're in the hailstorm. We drop down about 1,500 feet on this mountain to get to the spruce so we can hide under the spruce. Well, the hailstorm turned into torrential rain and some of the most horrific lightning you've ever seen. Turns out there was two kids just north of us
in the mountains. Yeah, that's scary.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad. And so it turns out there was two kids from North Carolina and Georgia that they were not hunting with the tribe. They were hunting on the land that abuts the tribe, and they got hit by lightning and they died. They went under a tree. The lightning hit the tree, and those two kids died. And
is this last year?
This is last year. Yeah.
Okay. I remember that all their gear was in their truck, and like people couldn't quite understand what was going on with those two kids, and their dog was with them too, wasn't it?
I don't know anything about a dog, because when I was in the hospital, which I'll get to, I was messaging the family saying, hey, look, I'm an old man and I survived for, whatever it was, 3 days in the mountains. Your kids will be fine. They're younger, they're stronger, whatever. So now we're basically lost on that mountain. And I knew where to go. But the problem is the bird dog couldn't go back up because it was a very steep mountain.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I go, look, we need to go up at least 1,000 feet, because the first rule in a rescue situation is you don't leave the place you were last seen. And he goes, I'm not going back up there. I can't make it. I said, I understand that. I go, I don't want to separate, because that's another thing. You never separate when you're, when you're in a distress situation. He goes, well, I can't make it back up there, because he was like probably 5'8", 320. I mean, he was a big boy. Yeah, he was a really heavy guy. Yeah, and he was
How
a
did
tribal
he get
member.
that role? What is it about him that he ended up being a bird dog?
Dude, I don't get it. I don't know, because I've asked what the qualifications were to become bird dogs. It's just like a tribal thing. I guess you got to earn your way into it. And this guy was probably late 40s, early 50s. So how he's doing it late in life, I don't know.
Okay.
But literally knew zero about hunting. Zero. And you'll understand why more when when I continue the story here. So he goes, there's a road at the bottom of this canyon, and we're going to get to that road. It's called Aspen Ridge Road. So first thing I said, I go, ridge? I go, ridge is the top of a mountain, not the bottom. And he goes, no, it's at the bottom. He goes, Aspen Ridge Road is at the bottom. I said, why don't we just walk back to where the truck is? I go, I know where the truck is. Because for me, like in land navigation, I take mental pictures of like rock formations, things like that, and I could see them. I go, let's just go to the truck. He goes, I can't go back up. You don't understand. I can't go back up. Okay. So now we go down the mountain, and it's still raining, lightly, nothing too crazy. And we get to just about where we can see the bottom, and I look and I go, dude, there's like a creek down there. There's no road. He goes, oh, well, we have to hike upriver in order for us to go ahead and get to the road. I said, how far is that? He goes, I don't know. I've never hiked this one before. I'm pretty sure he had never hiked anything before. So I was like, okay, I'm going to trust him. Again, he's an Apache. He grew up on this land. I'm going to trust him. So we hike
I got a question for you.
Yep.
Onyx, was it something that you were thinking about, considering? Like, did they in the contract say you can't use digital maps because we got you? Or
no, they're fine with Onyx and all that stuff. These mountains are not difficult to navigate. The tribal mountains are all like lateral, so you don't really need it. Onyx would not even have helped me, because I could navigate this mountain after being on it for just a few hours. It's really not difficult.
Okay.
So we go ahead and we hike, and as we're hiking, we come into like this meadow, and this is probably, we've been lost since about 6 a.m. This is now probably, God, after hiking down the mountain and going down, we're probably close to like, 1 p.m., somewhere around there.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there and we're walking down this meadow where it's nothing but like these green and yellow plants. And it's real like marshy at the bottom because it's obviously that's where all the drainage goes to. And I just see the biggest set of antlers about 35 yards from me. And I'm like, holy cow. And I look, I'm like, that's a 5x5. This thing stood up and it clearly had never seen a human in its life. We walked to within 15, 20 yards of an absolute behemoth of an elk. And it was 5x5. Like I could have shot it. So he looks at me and he goes, shoot it. I said, I'm not going to take that animal. There's no way we can hike it up that mountain. There's zero chance
the
that
protocol.
we can.
The guide's got to give it the go ahead,
Right. Well, I mean, it was a 5x5, so there was no kickers or nothing. And it stood there for about 2 minutes. This elk stood there for about 2 minutes. And I said, look, I'm an ethical hunter. If I shoot something, I want to eat it. I want to respect the animal. I'm not just going to shoot it just to shoot it because we're lost right now. Like, you can't go back up. So we need to find a way out here at base levels to get back to the camp. So we see that bull and he literally just walks off after staring at us for 2 minutes. I could have probably thrown my arrow and killed that bull. It was that close. I mean, it wasn't even a difficult shot.
Yeah.
So we hike about another mile. We see that bull again, stands up again. I'm drooling and I'm like, maybe I should shoot it. But again, the voice in my head's like, there's no way you can hike that meat out of here. It's going to spoil middle of the day, whatever. We keep on going. So we get to the end of where the river was, we're going upriver at this point, which was a stupid idea, but that's where he said the road was. So we get to the end of where the canyons meet and it's just more canyons and river. And I look at him, I said, I thought that you said there's a road. He goes, oh, we should have gone downriver. And at this point, like all my red flags are going off. So now I'm pissed.
I'm leaving that fella right there.
Right. Like now I'm pissed because we have like one bottle of water each. We have no food whatsoever. And I'm realizing like, oh, okay. So this is, we're sleeping outside tonight. Like there's no way. Like the search and rescue hadn't even started yet. So we walk back and I said, we are going to go right back to the rock formation to where we climb down this drainage. I mean, when I say climb, we're like holding roots to get to the bottom. So to get back up was an absolute nightmare because it's steep. So we go ahead and we get back to this little drainage. We climb up maybe 150 feet and all I'm looking for is deadfall. So I'm like, we're going to have to camp out here tonight. And I ask him, I'm like, they tell you in the orientation, hence, this lovely packet, they tell you that the bird dog or guide is always supposed to have survival gear on them at all times. You don't need your survival gear. It's up to them. They're the guide. Okay, great. So I asked him, do you have a lighter? He looks at me and goes, oh my God, I left it in the truck. And I just sat back and I'm like, okay. I'm like, so now I'm immediately going into like the survival training I went into in the service, which I've been out of the Marines for 26 years now. But it all like started coming back. So I find a couple of logs, like big trees that fell down. And I said, I want you to look out because we were in like heavy bear territory. Like I said, there's wolves, there's mountain lions, all kinds of stuff around there. So I said, I want you just to look out. And so start cutting branches. So I find, other like big pieces that had fallen. So we make kind of like a roof and then I throw spruce branches. Then I make more logs to keep it down. Then I throw spruce branches to try and make it as watertight as we can. So now it's completely dark. And I said, look, it's just going to be a long night. We are soaking wet.
Oh, still? Wet. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Did the storm ever end or did it rain the whole time?
It rained on and off. But when it rained, it was heavy rain, like violent storms like we get here in Florida. But it was just torrential rain. And so right around, I'd say about 8 or 9 p.m., the rains kind of subsided a little bit. And we did the best we could, so we both get under these logs and we're basically sleeping like feet to feet kind of thing. And I was like, okay, we can make it through the night. No big deal. The temperatures dropped that night to 37 and we're soaking wet. We're completely soaking wet. So I was hypothermic being from Florida almost immediately.
Yeah.
He started shaking real bad. And then that got followed up by snoring. And
Oh,
so I
of
kept
course.
kicking him saying, dude, you can't snore. Like, I need you to be quiet, man. There's animals out here and you're basically just making us a target. He's like, I can't help it. I said, well, I'm going to be up all night. I can go for days without sleeping. It doesn't bother me. I go, but if you start snoring, I'm going to kick your feet and just kind of let you know. So now, to try and speed things up a little bit, he's sleeping for a while. I'm just sitting here listening because I'm shivering so bad that I could literally, it hurt. Like
Yeah.
it was kind of painful how cold it was and how bad I was shivering because this was like hours. I mean, this is like 10 hours of just shivering in 30-degree weather with completely soaked shirt, soaked pants, my socks, my boots, everything was just completely drenched. My pack.
Probably fatigue.
So,
All those muscles are firing when you shiver, man. It's exhausting to shiver. That sucks. I've done it for a good amount of time, but not all night. And like, that sounds awful.
Well, that happened for over 2 days. We never stopped being
good.
hypothermic for 2 days. So
Gosh.
the first night, it was around 2 a.m. and I'm awake and he's sleeping, but he's not snoring. And I start hearing like big prints, like the logs that we were under were probably, I'd say 2.5 to 3 feet high. So you couldn't like look to your left and right, to see what was there. But I heard like big, like prints, like probably 10 feet away. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's just an elk moving through or, whatever. And then I start hearing, and I'm like, oh shit, that's a bear. Now keep in mind, I just had a bow. There's one part that I forgot that I need to rewind. So when we were down in that drainage going upriver and we had to head back, the bird dog just kept saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I got us into this. I'm so sorry. I said, look, man, it is what it is. We're going to get out of it. Everything's going to be fine. I go, but we need to double time it. Like we need to go fast because we don't have a lot of daylight back left. And we need to still go 5 to 7 miles to get back to where we started at. So I am, for a Florida boy, I can run through the mountains with any of them. And I'm pretty good. And I work out 6 days a week. I run, I do, I've done jujitsu and all kinds of other stuff. So my stamina is pretty good. And so I go ahead and I'm about 100 yards ahead of him. And I keep looking back and I'm like, hey man, you got to hurry up. And he's just dragging. I mean, he's just completely dragging ass. He's completely tired because again, he's a heavy guy, super nice guy, but he's a heavy guy and he's just not in shape.
It's tough to get 300 pounds through anything, let alone the mountains.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're walking, right? And this part bothers me a little bit because I've had a lot of stuff happen in the Marines, but so we're walking through this drainage and I hear bang. And I'm like, holy cow. That was a gunshot right behind me. This guy just killed himself. And, I've had several of my brothers in the military that have taken their own lives. One of them did it right in front of me. So that's a big, like, for me, it just kind of gets to me. So I didn't want to turn around. I'm like, what am I going to do now? Because I have this tribal guy that's dead because I seriously thought he was dead. And I turn around and I look at him and he's standing up. I go, what was that? He goes, that's my pistol. I said, I know that's your pistol. I go, don't you ever discharge a weapon without telling me first. I go, you need to tell me that you didn't even tell me you had a gun on you. So here's a question for you. What is the worst possible pistol you could bring into big game hunting in the mountains?
He brought a 22, didn't he?
He brought a micro 380.
Oh my goodness.
And to make it worse, it had hollow points. And I sat there and I go, what are you doing? He goes, well, just in case animals come. I said, if you shoot a bear or a mountain lion or a wolf with that, they are going to get pissed off and they're going to run at you and then they're going to, maim the hell out of you. He goes, what do you mean? It's a gun. I said, that's too small of a gun, bud. I'm like, even a 45 is kind of questionable. I go, so don't bring that thing out again. And he goes, well, I was trying to signal if they're searching for us. So I wanted to shoot a round in the air. I said, look, man, that's great. They're not going to hear that little 380 when they're thousands and thousands of feet above us. I said, you're wasting ammo at this point. So at that point, that was our first kind of like butting heads kind of thing where I was like, don't ever shoot a weapon behind my back. Like you literally just brought back a lot of bad shit for me and let's just keep going. So then as fast forwarding to where we're sleeping under these logs, I can hear this bear like blowing. And he's like tasting the air and he was close, I'm talking within feet. So I grab an arrow out of my quiver because it was under the log with me, and I'm just holding an arrow like this. Like if he comes, I'm just going to try to stab him in the face or the eye, and that's about the only thing I'll be able to do. So rain starts pouring down again. Thank God.
Gosh.
I can hear the bear just kind of, wander off a little bit. And now the rain is coming underneath the logs. So we had put like branches under the logs with a little bit of mud to try and block the water from coming in. It didn't even make a dent. I mean, it was as soon as that torrential rain came, now we're just getting soaked on our backs and we're trying to sleep, and it's like 37 degrees out. So roughly, I think it was around 05, somewhere around there, I start seeing the sun creep up. I wake him up and I said, hey man, we got to get moving. I need to start moving because I'm shivering really bad and I need to get blood flow. I got to get heated up. So I'm sitting there doing push-ups. I'm doing squats. I'm doing anything I can do to get blood flow going because now we have a little bit of visibility where we can see predators if they're coming our way. So go ahead and grab the packs, grab my bow. We go back down in that drainage. We go down that little drainage into where the creek is, and we're following it downriver now. Because he goes, the road is that way. He goes, I just got mixed up. The road is that way. So we follow this, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. It reminded me of, like, in Alaska, they have a thing called Devil's Club or Devil's Claw. And it's these really big spikes on the side of trees, and it just shredded everything that we had on. I mean, and I don't wear cheap gear, like my stuff is mostly First Light. And then, I have other, brands that I wear with that, but I try to buy good stuff, because good stuff usually works. It just shredded it. I mean, completely shredded the gear. So now I'm like tying knots in my pants and everything and my rain gear just so I'm not getting soaked anymore. So we go and we hike probably, I think when they found us, they told us we were about 12 miles away. And so as we're going, like we're just keep going and it's just ravine after ravine after ravine. And it's like that illusion of the mountains where a mountain looks close, but it's like 20 miles away kind of thing. And he just kept saying, the road is here. The road is here. So finally I just had enough. And I said, I'm not following you another step. I go, if you want to live, you're going to follow me. Because all he kept saying, is I just want to get back to my wife and kids. I'm so sorry. I don't want to die in the woods. I don't want to die here. I said, calm down. We're going to be all right. So I said, you need to follow me and I'm going to get us back into the search grid because I know they're searching for us at this point. Now we're gone working on, the end of day 2. Yeah. I know that they're searching for us. So he goes, no, I'm going this way.
Good God.
Okay. I said, look, we're not, I go, we're not supposed to split up, but I'm not going your way. I go, I will tell them where to find your body when your family comes and whatever. I go, I hate to say that, but it's just a fact. You don't know where you're going. I know exactly how to get back. And, best of luck to you. So he starts walking away downriver. I start walking back towards where I know the search grid is going to be. Because in the military and then in the rescue choppers that they do for law enforcement, they run parallels. And I'm like, I've done parallels plenty. I go, if it gets dark, they're going to use a FLIR camera system like infrared, and they're going to find us. I go, but we have to stay in that grid. They're not going to search 50 miles of mountain terrain to try and find guys that should be right here.
Yeah.
So he walks away. Maybe a minute and a half later, I hear screaming. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, what was that? And I start yelling. I'm like, oh, maybe it's the search party. Maybe they found us. And he's like, hey, they got me. It's him, like, kind of jogging, like walking fast, because the mountains were pretty steep, the angles that we were on. And I see him. He goes, okay, fine. I'll follow you. I said, okay, great. I said, we need to go fast, though. We have a lot of ground to cover. I go, because we wasted 10 miles coming this way. I go, I need you to do at least 7 miles with me. We get to about what I figured was about the 5-mile mark. And the skies opened up and just sunshine came out. And there was this little clearing. And I said, look, we are in early to mid-afternoon. I go, we need to take at least an hour and try to dry our clothes out. And so, take our clothes off, everything except our boxers and whatever. And we're laying our clothes on the trees and on the rocks and everything that we can. And our boots are just like waterlogged. And I go, we just can't afford to be hypothermic again tonight in wet clothes.
Yeah. Do you think yourself, like, as we're stripping, you're like, this is when they're going to find us. They're going to be looking for us for 2 days, and I'm going to be naked with this man in the woods, and this is when they're going to show up.
I never went down that route, but yeah, I can see where that's funny. There was a point where I got to that, and that comes a little bit later, about 4 hours later, roughly. So we're going ahead and we're walking back. We stop in this little field. We try to dry our stuff out, but it dried to where it was damp. It was never fully dry. And, our pants were still soaked. Our rain gear was trashed. Our boots were just, you couldn't wring your socks out enough. It was just, everything was just drenched. So now, I just sat there and I'm like, okay, well, we got to start making some more tracks. I go, I need at least 2 more miles out of you. He goes, I don't know if I can make it. I said, well, we need to find shelter because we're not sitting between logs again. And so he's like, okay, so we're going down back upriver now towards where we originally got lost from. And I see this abandoned mountain lion cave. And I got a picture of it on my phone too. Yeah. And which I'm happy to show to the camera for all the haters online that are like, oh, you're full of shit, whatever.
How do you know it was abandoned?
Well, that we're getting to that. So I look at him and I said, I go, Earl, you got us lost. Earl was his American name. He had an Apache name, but Earl was the name he went by. So I said, okay. Earl, you're sticking your head in there because you're the one that got us in this situation. He goes, okay, no problem. Again, he knew nothing about mountains. And so I was like, okay, I know that if he gets hit, at least I'll have my bow drawn to where I can take care of a lion. But, I was not sticking my head in there. Yeah. So he sticks his head in there and he comes out and he goes, I think we're clear. I said, okay, great. So we go and I start rounding up large branches and big rocks because if that, when I stuck my head in there, you could see like some scratches where a lion had been in there and you could see the bedding area where it had kittens in the back. And it was a good sized cave, but the opening, like he almost couldn't fit through it. It was a very small opening to get in. And I'm not exactly a small guy. I work out quite a bit, but it was tight for me to get in. So I'm like, man, this guy's like over 300 pounds. How's he going to get in this? So we go in, and then we barricade it with the rocks, the branches, spruce branches, everything. So that way, at least we'd have a fighting chance if something was to come back.
And some notice, right? It's like an alarm system, if nothing else. Let's wake you up.
So we go in there, and again, he can sleep through anything, this guy. I wish I had that ability, but I just don't sleep that much. And so, I told him, I said, I'm going to stay awake. I go, because I think, we had 2 helicopters that had come earlier in the day and were literally directly on top of us while we were drying our clothes out. So we're sitting there going like this with T-shirts, and we had marking tape. So we grabbed like 4 feet of the marking tape and then put it on sticks. And we're literally like going like this, trying to get these helicopters. Well, the helicopters only had windows that went forward. They didn't have the bubble in the front to where they could look down. So they never saw us. I mean, one of them was literally within 150 yards straight up of us, never saw us. Couldn't make a fire because he didn't bring the lighter. And then he goes, oh, well, I have a flint in my pocket. At this point, I literally was so mad that I kept telling myself, don't do what you want to do, because I was really pissed that he had a flint and he never told me. Yeah. So now I'm like, great, we're going to be warm tonight. This would be awesome. So I go and I get some dried brush, from some fallen timber. It's underneath the roots. So I put together this dried brush and he's trying to get it with the flint. This is middle of the day. I had to rewind a little bit from after we went in the cave because this story there's a lot to it. Yeah. So he goes ahead and he lights, and then I see this little fire start, and he starts blowing on it really hard, and he blew the fire out. Gosh. And I'm like, what did you do? I go, there's no more dry brush. Like, I literally got everything that's within, hundreds of yards of here. He goes, well, I thought you're supposed to blow on a fire to get it going. I go, yeah, but you don't blow that hard. You give it a light breeze just to kind of get the fire going, and you just blew it out. He goes, okay, I'll start it again. So now I go and I found some animal fur from an animal that had been killed. I'm like, that'll light up pretty good. I put a little bit of sticks on top of it, and he's literally hitting the flint. And then he starts hitting it really hard, and he broke the flint. God, my God. And I looked at him, I go, you might have just killed us because your temper got the best of you. I said, I told you yesterday, you have to remain calm in these situations.
For some people, the outdoors is a hobby. For others, it's a lifestyle. Torque wheels are built for the ones who chase sunrise on the water, track game through the timber, and spend weekends towing boats, campers, and ATVs to the next adventure. With a full lineup of wheel sizes and fitments for trucks, SUVs, vans, trailers, and RVs, Torque wheels are made to match your lifestyle and your rig. Wherever you go, whatever you haul, visit torquewheels.com to find a retailer near you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Robert Arrington from Deer Meat for Dinner. If you're as serious as I am about bow fishing, check out Cajun Bow Fishing. No matter where you go or what you do, from the beginners all the way to the pro, Cajun makes stuff for everybody. Everything they make works. Compound bows, recurve bows, accessories, everything. They make it so easy to get dialed in so that every shot counts. I've been using Cajun for years, all over the place, down in Florida, across the Midwest, everywhere. Everywhere I go, it works because they make stuff that you can trust. Be sure to check out Cajun Bow Fishing to see their full lineup.
When the hunt matters, trust the gear that's built to perform. At Scree Gear, we design premium hunting apparel that keeps you comfortable, concealed, and ready for whatever the mountain throws your way. From early season spot and stalk hunts to late season extremes, Scree Gear is trusted by hunters who refuse to compromise. And if you want to sharpen your skills and follow real hunting adventures, watch Scree TV on Waypoint TV. Visit ScreeGear.com to gear up today. Then catch Scree TV on Waypoint TV and experience the hunt like never before.
He just lost his temper and broke the flint. So I'm trying to take pieces of the flint to try and get a little spark, and it's nothing was going to happen.
Yeah.
So we go into we're in the cave. We're barricaded in, and now we've seen two choppers towards the end of the day. Neither one of them saw us. But I'm like, we're in the search grid. This is a good thing. So we go ahead, and he's sleeping. I'm trying to lay down, just trying to close my eyes because my eyes are so dried out from being up now for almost 2 days. And in the distance, I can hear chopper blades. So I'm like, oh shit, let me go outside. I'm not going to wake him up because I don't know where these things are at. So I go outside, take down the first layer of the branches. I look up, and over the mountain range that was north of us, I see two lights. I'm like, oh man, that's a chopper. I go, I don't know if it's a search and rescue chopper because they usually have 4 lights on each side, or sorry, 2 lights on each side, not just one. At least in the military they did. So these guys come, and I wake him up, and I'm like, get out here. There's a chopper. And he comes out, and he freaking knocks the entire thing down that we built. Like, wasn't gentle about anything in case, maybe they didn't see us. Knocks the whole fucking thing down.
Earl.
So I go ahead, and
I'm fed up with Earl, and I'm not even there, man.
It gets worse. So
okay.
We're sitting there.
Perfect.
And, he stands like right next to me, like shoulder to shoulder. And this helicopter's coming right at us. And then the helicopter's doing like probably about a 200-yard circle around us. And I sat there and I looked, and I'm like, they're looking on thermal imaging. They think we're either a bear or an elk or something because we're standing next to each other. I said, dude, take 5 steps that way. He goes, why? I go, just fucking do it. He starts walking that way. Boom, spotlights come right on us. I go, they thought that we were an animal. They didn't know we were people. So they throw these spotlights on us, and then this helicopter's circling us for a while. And all what they were trying to do, because they had helicopters from Flagstaff, Tucson, and Phoenix looking for us. And they would run in shifts because they had to go back and refuel and do all that stuff. So he goes ahead, and, we get our headlamps out, and we just start shining our headlamps in the air. And these guys are flashing their chopper lights at us like, hey, we got you. You don't need your headlamps. We know where you're at. So we're taking our stuff off, and both of us at this point are like, yeah, we're going home. This is great. They didn't have like a rappel line to winch us, or a winch line to winch us up to the chopper. They tried to land in the clearing where we were drying our clothes way back, and we saw them go down and then go right back up. I'm like, there's no way they're going to be able to land on a mountain that's like this. Like, that rear rudder is going to hit a tree or something, and then there's no way they're going to do that. So they go right back up. They come to us. They flash their lights at us, and then they take off. And he's like, why are they taking off? I said, 1, they're probably low on fuel. And number 2, they're going to radio to a search and rescue chopper that they have our location, our latitude, longitude. He goes back to bed, right? About 2 hours go by. About 2 hours go by. And I would say from us to the top of this mountain we were at was probably 200 to 400 yards because it goes like this. So you can't really see the end of it, but I'm guessing that's where it was. And we start hearing wolves, and I'm like, oh shit, like this is no bueno right now. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
so the shelter's built back up, we're good. Then I'm just sitting there looking through like this gap from, as you're laying down, the opening of the cave, I can see a little bit through the branches and stuff that we had, and I start seeing lights coming at us again. I'm like, get up, get up, get up. I go, there's another chopper coming. I look at this chopper coming. I don't see the green light, the night vision light inside. I'm like, I don't think this is search and rescue, but it's another chopper. They brought a smaller chopper, and that chopper tried to land, couldn't land. Got to about 50 feet, and then just shot right back up. Same thing, flashed their lights at us, do some loops, and then went back. So at this point, I didn't realize this, but the tribe had never used my emergency contact form to notify my wife.
No shit.
in
Oh,
Florida.
my goodness. Okay.
They never
All right.
called. So the search and rescue guys, they had been given our information for the tribal member and myself. Those guys radioed back to my hometown in Florida, to the sheriff's office. And they said, you need to go to this residence to tell this lady that her husband is missing in the mountains. We don't know if it's him, but if we don't find him soon, it's going to be a recovery mission, not a rescue mission. That night, the temperatures got to 32. My shirt literally was crispy from like icicles.
Yeah.
I'm shaking so bad. And
Even
it's a weird-
in the cave with Earl's body heat and what you got going on in there, it was still icicles. My
yeah,
gosh.
I mean, it was warmer than when we stepped outside, but it wasn't warm.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
still air coming through and all that. It was still cold. So I'm sitting there and I'm just trying to do this the whole time. Just, get blood flowing, and because hypothermia for someone from Florida, with not used to cold weather, I like
Yeah.
cold weather, but I was like, okay, I don't want to die here. And so I took a picture of the mountain lion cave. I went on WhatsApp and I tried to text it to my wife. Nothing went through. I tried running on the non-cellular SOS line. None of that went through. But what I was doing throughout the day, which is how they ended up finding us when they told me, when we finally got air rescued, is I always bring a backup battery pack when I go into the mountains, and I recharge it every time we go back to base camp. And so I recharged my phone, and I only had one charge left, and I would turn my phone on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. Turns out 4 of the times that I turned it on and off, it pinged one of the towers. So they weren't even searching in our grid, but because I had turned my phone on and off so many times and they got it, they're like, we can kind of triangulate where they're at. This is what search and rescue told me.
Okay.
So I go ahead and
Was that intentional
now-
that you knew that they might find you by you doing that, or was that just you saving juice?
No,
Okay.
no, that was my phone there was no cell service. You couldn't do anything.
Gotcha. Good
The only
survival hack
reason
there.
I'm sorry?
I said that's a real good survival hack. I did not know that. So
Yeah, you can ping a tower or ping a satellite, and then they can triangulate you. And so luckily that worked, is what I found out. That's exactly how they found us, because we were still several miles away from the area that we were supposed to be in. So we go ahead, and that night, the sheriff's office in the town that I live in shows up at my door at 3:30 in the morning, East Coast time,
gosh.
which is 12:30 out in Arizona.
Yeah.
We hadn't been rescued yet. They didn't know it was us. They had no idea, because there was multiple people lost in the mountains that day. So they knock on my door, and my wife answers, and my son, who lives at home, and the sheriff says, are you aware your husband's been hunting in Arizona? She said, yeah. Are you aware he's been missing for 3 days? And she's like, what? And at that point, like, obviously she's freaking out. And they're like,
course.
well, they're trying to find him. They might have found him. They don't know. But if they don't rescue him soon, it's very cold, and there's a good chance it's going to turn into a recovery mission instead of a rescue mission. Obviously not something you want to say to,
Yeah.
to the spouse if somebody's missing. So that was the sheriff's office in my hometown that went out there, because they radioed him to tell him, hey, you need to notify them, because and it'll probably piss you off the way it still pisses me off this day, what the tribe actually said once I got rescued. So we go ahead, and around 2:30, a big helicopter comes our way. I'm like, that's a search and rescue chopper. It's got 2 lights on each side. There's a green light in the cockpit. That's search and rescue. They get right on top of us, and they run the rappel line down. And this guy was a freaking stud that came down. And so he comes and he flashes a flashlight at me, flashes a flashlight at Earl. He's like, "What's your name?" I tell him my name. Earl says his name. He flashes the light in my eyes and flashes the light in Earl's eyes. And he's like, "You come with me. You're critical." I didn't realize it, but like my eyes were turning like orangey brown when your kidneys start shutting down and, your liver and all that. And I'm like, okay, great. At that point, my legs pretty much stopped working.
Yeah.
Like it was very difficult.
You were running on fumes in a dream at that point. Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hypothermic. I'm shaking. My legs are shaking, but I didn't realize because I hadn't stood up for a while other than when the first helicopter had come. My legs, like when I tried to take a step, they were failing. Like it was just really hard to walk. My body was shutting down. So the guy goes, "Here, you come with me." He puts his hand under my armpit because I couldn't walk to where the tether line was to get up to the chopper. So I'm like, "Okay, cool, let's do this." He goes, "Leave your pack, leave everything. We don't have time. You need to go right now." And I'm like, "Okay." So now I'm freaking out. I'm like, "Dude, am I really in this bad a shape?" So I was shaking so bad that he had to like wrap a line around me just because I was just the hypothermia was just so atrocious. And then he was able to put like this little like a waist harness on me. And he's like, "You scared of heights?" I go, "No, man. I jumped out of planes in the military and other stuff." I go, "I'm good." He goes, "Okay." And he gives the thumbs up and they shoot me up. So they shoot me up to the chopper and I put my feet on the skids, and the crew chief that had that was in the chopper kicks my feet off the skids, like violently kicks them off. And he's just yelling at me, "Don't touch the chopper. Don't touch the chopper." I said, "I want to get inside, man." I go, "I'm freaking dying here." He goes, "Trust me, we're going to get you inside. Don't touch the chopper." He reaches back and he grabs, the clip and he throws it onto my line. I've never had to get rescued before, so I didn't know what to expect. This rope throws you hard into the chopper. It's not gentle at all. I actually thought I had broken my ribs because it just knocked the wind out of me. And at that point, I was just grateful to be in a chopper. So I'm like, I'm going home. So they had a pilot, and then the guy, another guy in the front, and then to the right was the crew chief. And they're sitting there, touching my pulse, and they're looking in my eyes and all stuff. Guy gets on the radio. He's like, "Critical, critical, critical. This guy's not going to make it." And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what does it mean not going to make it?
That's
right.
crazy.
So I didn't realize, but I was kind of in and out of consciousness, and they kept like yelling at me, stay awake, keep your eyes open. And I'm like, okay, great. I didn't realize it, but I was just I think it was the hypothermia and the exhaustion it was more me maybe not passing out, but it was more just being tired and just kind of dozing a little bit. So they're on the radio, and I could barely hear what they're saying because the chopper's kind of loud. It turns out they were saying he's not going to make it to the Phoenix hospital. Can we come to the Apache hospital? Well, the white man's not allowed to be seen, from what I was told, in the tribal hospital. They gave permission for me to go there because of what they were hearing from the radio. Yeah. So they land me on this dirt road, and the guy goes, "Stay with us for 5 minutes." He goes, we're going to go right away. We have the police officers going to meet us there. They're going to put you in a truck, and they're going to drive you to the hospital. I'm like, okay, great. So we land, and there was an officer she was Officer Shea. She would eat dinner with us at the, there's like this long table, the tribal table when you go to eat. It's like this long table in the cafeteria. Super nice people, man. I mean, awesome people. So I go ahead, and she's like, "What's your name?" and all this other stuff. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's Mike," and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, "You remember me?" I said, "We had dinner the other night, And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "I've eaten with you guys every night you've been here." She goes, "I need you to get in the truck right now." She throws me in the truck, straps me on. She goes, "I'm going to throw a blanket on you, and I'm going to turn the heat on as much as I can, but we need to get you to the hospital fast." She gets on the radio with the ambulance, emergency services from the hospital. She's like, "This guy needs you right now." I've never seen an ambulance do this in my freaking life. I probably never will again. We're in like this. It's either a Tundra or an F-150. I'm forgetting what the tribe used for their trucks. We're going like 80 or 90 on this dirt road and like a little bit sliding. So I'm like, okay, I didn't die out there, but now I'm going to die when we roll over on this because we're driving on, roads, on dirt roads. And so she goes ahead and she pulls off to the side, and right behind us, or not behind us, but right in front of us, the ambulance comes, hits their brakes, and literally fishtails into us. And I'm like, holy shit, this is real. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. So the two medics come out. The medics grab me out of the passenger seat. And then it took three of them to get me onto the gurney. And then the gurney just kind of threw me in the back of the ambulance. So they're flashing lights at me, doing the typical triage stuff that you're going to do. You know, are you cut anywhere? Anything broken? What's going on? This and this and this. They're taking my temperature, and they're like, your temperature is extremely low, and you have almost no pulse. Like, my pulse was very close to being done. So she looks at me, and she says, I'm going to put a needle in your arm, and it's going to hurt. And I said, I've had so many IVs and shots in the military. I don't care. I go, just do it. She goes, no, this is going to hurt. I promise you. She goes, so just stay with us. Because I was shaking so bad, they had to strap down my arms, my chest, my legs, so that way they could just get the needle in me. They end up putting 3 needles in my arm, and it was like really, really hot IV fluid to try to get my temperature back up. And that shit hurts. When it goes into your body, it freaking hurts. At this point, I'm just like, I'm one of those guys, I don't ever want to show pain. You know, it's just like the Neanderthal in me. Meanwhile, I should have been like screaming like a little bitch, but I was just like, I'm not going to let him see me in pain, you know?
Yeah.
So we go ahead, and we're driving in this ambulance, and they just keep asking me questions to keep me awake. Just constantly asking me questions. So we get to the Apache hospital, and they back up to this door, and it's like double doors that opened up, and it was like Apaches that were there that had been searching for us, lining the hallway. I thought I died. It sounds weird, but I thought I was dead, and like I had gotten to heaven, but because I died on the tribal land, I'm in Apache heaven.
The ancestors.
In my mind, that's what I was thinking. So as I'm going down this hallway, like they're literally like doing this, like touching my arms and stuff, and I'm like, they just want to make sure like I'm alive, kind of thing. I had people coming up. My cousins were looking for you. My kids, my uncle, my grandfather's out there. They had, you know, police officers running those canyons. They had everybody, you know, horseback, all kinds of stuff. I was like, okay. And I was so disoriented because hadn't eaten, couldn't, you know, had one bottle of water. You know, we tried to drink a little bit of the stream water, but it was sketchy. So, you know, I was like, okay, you know. So now I'm in the hospital, right? And I just get all this medical staff converging on me. And the doctor comes, and doctor was a super cool guy. And he goes, I'm taking your PICC line out right now. I need blood. I said, Doc, do whatever you want to do. So he goes back, he comes out, and he goes, your creatinine level. And I'm like, I didn't know what that was. I'm like, what is my creatinine? He goes, your kidneys. He goes, you're operating at 20 to 30% right now. He goes, you're lucky they found you when they did, because you're crashing very fast. He's like, when's the last time you went to the bathroom? I go, I don't know. Probably day and a half, 2 days ago. And he goes, that's not good. He's like, that's just not good. So I'm like, okay, do whatever you got to do, Doc. So we go ahead. They, you know, had to take my temperature. My temperature was still super low when I first got there.
Do you remember like ballpark figure?
I don't know. I probably could look at the medical records, but I mean, it was well below where you should be, you know? Yeah. And so I wasn't concerned really temperature wise. I was more concerned, oh my God, I'm going to need a kidney transplant, because, you know, my eyes were, you know, jaundice, wasn't in good shape. I was bleeding, you know, so I didn't realize I was bleeding, but from going through all these thick brush that had spikes on them and thorns and all that, you know, you get cuts on you, it's no big deal, but I'm like, holy cow. So they ran, they gave me, I think he said 7 bags of IV, still didn't go to the bathroom, like big bags of IV. I went through 7 of them, didn't go to the bathroom. He had another bag. He's like, this is going to be for your kidneys, to get your kidneys going. That went through me. And then he gave me a bag of glucose and sodium. Okay. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now we're hours into it. I still haven't gone to the bathroom. He goes, you have a lot of fluid in your body. I don't know how you're not going to the bathroom. He goes, you know, can you try? I go, I can. I'm like, I don't know if I can walk right now. He goes, well, you know, go ahead and try. So they get out of the bed, and I felt like a 90-year-old man. My body was dead. I'm like taking little baby steps to try and get to this bathroom that's like 20 yards away. So I go in the bathroom, and I remember holding on to the little handicap bar just to brace myself, and I try to take a piss, and it's just brown.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just brown. So I come out, and the doc goes, well, and I said, it's brown. He goes, okay, we're going to throw another IV bag in you. Then he gives me a half a gallon of Pedialyte. He goes, I need you to chug this Pedialyte like right now. So I chug a half gallon of it. 30, 45 minutes later, I got to go take a piss again. And now it's coming out instead of brown, it's coming orange. He goes, oh, that's good. Your kidneys are coming back. He goes, you're in really good shape. So your kidneys most likely will make a full recovery. I'm going to take your blood again. So my creatinine was at, I think it was like 1.6 or 1.7 is what I was told. My baseline is usually 0.08. When I pulled my records from the VA when I got home, my creatinine is normally a 0.08, which means like 2.0 is like they're done. You get to like 2.0 and it's like no more kidneys. So I was very, very close. And so the piss starts changing color. Kidneys are coming back. And I said, can I get something to eat? I go, just anything. He goes, no. I goes, I got to get your body running again. He goes, I know you're hungry. I go, just anything to eat. He goes, I tell you what, we'll try something. He brings a saltine cracker and a graham cracker. He goes, I want you to eat the saltine cracker first. I break off a tiny corner of this saltine cracker. He goes, I don't want you because you might vomit it back up. He goes, just take a little bite. So I take a bite. The doctor walks into like this little lab area that they have where it's all like the administrative and lab work. The hospital's tiny. It's smaller than most houses. I mean, it's not a big hospital. And I'm immediately like grabbing my throat, and the nurse, who was a Navy Seabee, he comes running over. He's like, what's wrong? I'm like, he goes, are you choking? I go, no, I'm not choking. He gets a flashlight, puts it down my throat, immediately calls for the doctor, like yells for the doctor. Doctor comes running over. He goes, what's wrong? Is he choking? He goes, no. He goes, look, my throat was so calloused from not having fluids. The doctor said the salt pellets and the little shards from the cracker sliced the inside of my throat. He goes, you're bleeding down your throat right now. He goes, you're going to vomit it up. He goes, it's a good amount of blood. I said, how? He goes, I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen somebody whose throat is so dry and calloused that a little cracker would cut you. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, now I'm like tasting the blood in the back a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever. So he goes ahead and I go, can you give me some yogurt? And he goes, yeah. And I go, I need something in my stomach right now. I go, it's painful to the point where it hurts. I got to feed my body something. So I eat 2 little things of these yogurts that they give me in the hospital. Then he gives me mandarin oranges and strawberries. The oranges, the acid from the oranges hurt so bad when I tried to swallow it. I'm like, no more of those, man. Just,
I believe
whatever.
that open wound and acid. No thanks.
Oh, it was terrible. So I ate the strawberries, ate the yogurt. Everything's cool. I was able to keep the food down. And then as this is going on, while I'm getting triaged, getting IVs in me, getting all kinds of different medical attention, I have the different search and rescue police departments literally lined up next to my bed. The Apache tribal police, the head of hunting, who I was told was the head of the tribe, and like all these people are lined up to do their questioning of me. And I said, guys, look, I'm trying to fight for my life right now. Like, what's going on? And the doctor's like, look, he's kind of, he's not clear yet. And they're like, it doesn't matter. We have to interview you as soon as we can. I said, great, let's go. They line up. They each question me for 20 to 30 minutes, tell me about this. And they're all sitting there with each other taking notes. So I get through all of them. And then the head of the tribal police goes, I've been doing this a long time. You have not changed one sentence of your story. He goes, if you were lying, we usually can find inconsistencies. He goes, you haven't changed a single sentence of your story. He goes, you have a very good memory. And I said, it just happened. This has been horrific. And I go, is there anything else I can do? So they all say, here's our number. Call us, when you get back to Florida, and we're probably going to interview you some more. I said, okay.
I just don't understand what they think you're lying about. Like, it's like, they think you did something wrong. Why would you lie? Like,
So I'll
were they
kind of
looking
get to
for?
that point because
Okay,
I didn't
okay.
realize why they were doing that. And so I got to kind of tell it in sequence.
Okay.
So the outside search and rescue wanted the legitimate truth of what happened. When I spoke to and I only got to speak to those guys, I think twice, like once when I was there and once when I came back. And when I got back home, I was getting calls from the tribal police. I must have got interviewed 3, 4, or 5 times from them
Okay.
constantly about the same stuff. So when I talked to them and I said, I told them the story, and then they said, "What happened when you got home?" And I told them what happened when I got home. He goes, "Well, that's different than what we were told by the head of hunting, the guy that invited me out there, Wayne Amos. He lied, trying to cover his ass, saying that he notified my wife of the emergency contact. There was another tribal member said they did the same thing. One of the officers, I was told, did the same thing. This is to the head of the tribe. So the head of the tribe was basically trying to do a gotcha moment against me because he trusted what his tribal people said.
Yeah.
So I said, I'll tell you what." So I get on the phone with the tribal police officer and I said, "My wife is right here. Let me text you her phone logs for the entire time I was there. There's not one phone call that came from the Apache tribe. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, there's none that even came from out of state." I said, "So your tribe has a integrity problem."
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Robert Arrington from Deer Meat for Dinner. If you're as serious as I am about bow fishing, check out Cajun Bow Fishing. No matter where you go or what you do, from the beginners all the way to the pro, Cajun makes stuff for everybody. Everything they make works. Compound bows, recurve bows, accessories, everything. They make it so easy to get dialed in so that every shot counts. I've been using Cajun for years, all over the place, down Florida, across the Midwest, everywhere. Everywhere I go, it works because they make stuff that you can trust. Be sure to check out Cajun Bow Fishing to see their full lineup.
For some people, the outdoors is a hobby. For others, it's a lifestyle. Torque wheels are built for the ones who chase sunrise on the water, track game through the timber, and spend weekends towing boats, campers, and ATVs to the next adventure. With a full lineup of wheel sizes and fitments for trucks, SUVs, vans, trailers, and RVs, Torque wheels are made to match your lifestyle and your rig. Wherever you go, whatever you haul, visit torquewheels.com to find a retailer near you.
When the hunt matters, trust the gear that's built to perform. At Scree Gear, we design premium hunting apparel that keeps you comfortable, concealed, and ready for whatever the mountain throws your way. From early season spot and stalk hunts to late season extremes, Scree Gear is trusted by hunters who refuse to compromise. And if you want to sharpen your skills and follow real hunting adventures, watch Scree TV on Waypoint TV. Visit ScreeGear.com to gear up today. Then catch Scree TV on Waypoint TV and experience the hunt like never before.
And I said, the fact that they would lie, trying to cover their own ass when somebody they invited out there nearly died, and I saved the life of your tribal member. And these people were all sitting around my bed the whole time being like, "Oh, we're going to make this right. Everything we can do to make it right. We're going to bring you back. We're going to take you on a trophy hunt. We're going to do this, and we got to make this right." They go, "This has never happened in the history of our tribe." So I'm like, okay, cool. No big deal. I wasn't expecting anything. Accidents happen. I try not to be a vengeful person. It's an accident. It's not something they intentionally did. So when I get home and I'm getting this from the tribal police telling me what they have said in their investigation, and then I provide him the proof that what they said is pure lies.
Yeah.
He's calling me back, trying to bounce the story to get to the real truth. I think he's a good guy. So finally, on the final call, he says, "Look, I'm probably not supposed to say this to you." He goes, "You're never going to hear from the tribe again. They want nothing to do with you, and they want this problem to go away." And I said, "But your tribal members lied in an official investigation." And he goes, "We're going to deal with that internally."
Yeah.
I said, "You're going to deal with that internally while I'm getting screwed over." At this point, They didn't agree to reimburse me for anything. They cut off all communication to every single hunter that was in camp. There's guys that are in that, they want no evidence that this ever happened. So there's guys that were in camp that I still talk to today. I become buddies with. I go on hunt trips or whatever. These are guys that are worth substantial amounts of money. I'm just some, loser hunter from Florida, man. I mean, I'm just, I don't operate at their level. I just got a lucky, Willy Wonka lottery ticket to go to hunt tribal land. So these guys are calling me like, Mike, what happened? And I'm like, what are you talking about? They go, have you heard from the tribe? I said, no. And so months are going by. And they said, we're contacting our guides. We're contacting the head of hunting, and they won't return our calls. I said, it's got nothing to do with me, man. I go, I don't know what you want from me. Yeah. And they said, it's just really weird. Like the one guy goes, I bring like 5 and 10 people there every single year. I've been going there for a long time, and I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars at that place. And I said, look, man, I don't know what to tell you. They won't even call me back at this point. I said, I've left messages for the head of the tribe who was under investigation to be removed from office for apparently sexual harassment or something like that is what I was told.
Oh, lovely.
I tried to reach out to the new person who's supposed to be the head of the tribe, wouldn't return calls. Everybody I could try to get in touch with just went straight cold shoulder. So I said, okay. So the tribal police officer is the only one that would take my calls. And he said, look, he goes, I'm going to tell you something I probably shouldn't tell you. He goes, you're going to get nowhere. He goes, they are going to shut this down. I'm sorry about what happened to you. He goes, but I sat in a room with the head of the tribe, and everybody voted that was in that room. Everybody except one person voted to do the right thing and make things right with you. And we had suggestions on what we were going to do. The only one that overrode it was the head of the tribe. And he said, send him a check for what he paid for the hunt, and then that's it. We're not doing anything else. So now at that point, I was pissed.
Yeah, understandably.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm not looking for a free handout, but if somebody shakes my hand and then doesn't inform my wife that I'm missing and lies in an investigation, now I'm like, hold on. This place isn't what I thought it was. Yeah, they have great elk, but they're liars.
Yeah.
And it's disturbing because the one guy was actually an Army Special Forces, combat vet. And he and I shared stories and we were talking and, we got along real well with my Marine Corps experience, his Army experience, all that stuff. And I'm like, man, how would another vet lie when another vet almost got killed under his watch?
Yeah.
And so at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to an attorney. I don't like getting attorneys involved in anything, but I just want to, I need to make things right, and if they're not going to do it, then let me see. So I talked to attorneys in Texas, Oklahoma, because apparently Oklahoma does a lot of tribal law, Texas, Oklahoma, Nevada, Arizona, California, and one federal attorney. I had some guy reach out to me from Washington, D.C., because I sit on a congressional committee for my local congressman, and I guess word had kind of gotten around. So turns out that after talking to all these people, this one attorney calls me back, and he said, look, I don't know if any of these other guys are going to tell you this. He goes, don't waste your money.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean? He goes, the Apache are the only tribe that has not released their sovereignty from the United States government. If you get a court hearing, it's going to be heard in their court, and it's going to be kangaroo court because they'll never find their own tribe guilty. I said, so if they do something on tribal land, what about if it's off tribal land? He goes, they could literally put a bullet in your head on tribal land and never do a day in jail because that's their sovereign land. He goes, the only option is you could file a federal case to get them forced into federal court. He's like, but you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he goes, it's not cheap to do a federal case. I said, look, man, I try not to be a vengeful person, man. I've had rough times in my life, and, I try to be as reasonable as I can. I go, it's a hunting trip. It went bad. I'm just going to move on. And so, I get calls all the time and messages like on social media from the other hunters that were in camp. And they're constantly like, hey, man, we were booked to go back there this year. Have you heard from them? And I'm like, dude, I'm done. They could give me whatever they want. I would never go back to that shithole because they have no honor. They're just dishonest people.
Yeah,
and
first off, they didn't even take your feedback, right? At the beginning, you're like, don't bring this bird dog, don't bring this bird dog. And they just kept ignoring everything you had to say. Who knew that would snowball into what it did? but like,
So what's
just
bad
it's
about
a
that?
character thing, man. Yeah.
What's bad about that is I actually told the head of hunting, the guy that invited me out there, Wayne. I said I don't want that guy with us because when they first the first thing I said when we came online here is when they bring you into their auditorium saying you can shoot that elk, you can't shoot that elk, and then they go through their rules, and their rules are very strict, and they do the rules of the guides, they do the rules of what you can do as a guest, and then they go a little bit into bird dog stuff, but not a lot. And then they bring out all the Apache dancers, and they come out and they dance and they do their war dance, which is actually pretty cool. You know, I enjoy the culture of Native Americans and all that. And so, you know, now I'm just sitting here thinking like, wow, you know, a dream hunt turned into an absolute nightmare. My bow was fucked. Like from dragging it, like my string. If I was to pull my string back, it would have snapped. It was all frayed, and, you know, just from getting beat up for days and days and days of going through stuff that, you know, you're hypothermic and you're on cliffs that, you know, you could fall very easily. And I was just like only worried about getting out of there. Right. But what kills me is like, they have these guys that spend 25, 50, 100 grand every year going there, and they won't return their calls. Like this one guy that I know, I won't mention his name in case the tribe sees this or something, but he's like pissed. He goes, Mike, you have no idea how much money I've spent at that place. Like I've spent a pile of money at that place over many, many years. He goes, everybody loved you in camp. What happened was an accident. Why are they blackballing everybody? I said, simple, man. Because if new hunters come in camp, they don't want it to be talked about.
Yeah.
And then he's the one that told me, hey, you should post this on every hunting site that you can. So immediately I went ahead and I posted on every hunting forum. And then, of course, you know, if you go in and you read it, you'll see nasty comments from most of the hunters. You know, everybody's an armchair quarterback and an expert after it happens. I'm like, dude, we were hypothermic for 2 days. How do you expect us to do any of what you're talking about? You know, oh, well, you should have brought this. I go, look, everything in hindsight is great. You're going to one of the greatest hunting camps on earth. These guys know what they're doing. I assumed I wouldn't have to bring survival gear and all that, which in
also in the contract. Yeah, it says they're going to do that for you.
In here,
I see you doing nothing wrong, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, but you get a lot of hate. You know, you get a lot of hate from it. I've had some people that have reached out that have had experiences, you know, at other hunt camps. And, you know, for me, I'm a very big believer in warning people if they are, especially in the hunting world, because I've been through camps in Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Montana, Alaska, Canada. No, not Alaska. Sorry, not Alaska, Canada. And I've had some great outfitters where I did not harvest an animal. And then I've got other ones that were just a flat out ripoff. And you knew the second you got there, you got ripped off.
Yeah.
You know, it was, I mean, I had one that was run by the cartel in New Mexico, and we got held for 6 days, like at gunpoint for 6 days. And it was just a scam. Yeah. So, you know, and I got pictures
Mike,
of all
I got to
that
get
stuff
you
too.
back on. I don't got time for all these stories today, but I want to hear all of these stories. This is crazy.
Oh, I got some doozies, man.
Dude, I gotta ask. I don't want to really, but like, and I think I know the answer already. And how was Earl physically? I assume he went to the same hospital. And have you ever heard from him since? Because like that's a moment that even though I know he's part of the tribe, but like that's a couple days that he'll never have with anyone else that you won't either. Like it's pretty, I don't want to say special, but like unique experience you had with just him. Have you heard from him, and how was he, and when did they get him out?
So they got him out roughly 2 hours later.
Okay.
They had to go refuel the helicopter, go back in. The rescue jumper stayed with him, and I assume they brought him some food and water. I assume.
Okay.
I saw him in the hospital after they stabilized me. You know, obviously he had a lot more body weight, so his body wasn't atrophied as bad as mine. When I left, because I'm a big fitness guy, so I keep track of like everything. When I left camp, I was 187 pounds. When they found us, I was 164 when I weighed myself at the hospital.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight to lose in 2.5 to 3 days. And it was just
you don't
coming
have it
off
to lose. He did. Yeah.
Right. And it was probably just because the shivering from the hypothermia, lack of water, lack of food, all that other good stuff. But I mean, I lost a ton of weight. When I looked in the mirror, I looked like a skeleton. Like I could see my ribs. And I mean, I lift a lot of weights. I'm in good shape, but I was like, I didn't recognize who I was. And I was just getting like a little emotional, like, oh my God, I feel like, you know, I don't want to say to get too dramatic, like a Holocaust survivor, but like when you can see
Yeah.
your ribs popping out, and my eyes were sunken in, and I'm like, what the hell happened to me in such a short period of time? So once I got home, I went to the VA. The VA worked on me for months. My
Okay.
kidney levels were coming back up. They finally got me up to 90%. So like, your kidneys are going to be fine. You're at 90%, but you're never going to get higher than that. My liver, was fine. I started having really bad cognitive issues, which is from hypothermia. Your
Okay.
brain activity, the electrostatic activity in your brain can shut down. And so I had to go get scans from the VA, because when I came home, the first day that I came home, I almost couldn't talk. I was just so like petrified from what I'd gone through. I just wanted to see my wife and kids and whatever. And every time a helicopter, because we have helicopters fly over our house all the time, it just kind of freaked me out. Like, there's a little bit of PTSD stuff going on, because I'd never had an issue with them before, but I'd hear a helicopter and it immediately brought me back. And so when I came home, and it was roughly 3 or 4 days after I got home, I decided to take my first appointment with a client. And I got to meet this client, and thank God they were the nicest people ever. And I was talking like this. I couldn't get the words out.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow, my brain's really jacked up. So I used to sit on the board of a cryotherapy company that has all kinds of different modalities. And so I have access to those things. So I went in, I did red light therapy, hyperbaric chambers, pulse electromagnetic frequency. I did all kinds of stuff. What can I do to re-stimulate my brain? Reached out to a buddy of mine from the Marines who has a peptide pharmacy out in Arizona. And he's like, dude, let me send you some methylene blue. You need to get lion's mane. You need to be doing all this stuff. So I'm starting to take methylene blue, and within, I'd say, a week, lights started coming back on. And I was like, holy cow, this is like bananas. And, I've had vision issues since I came back, which is like really weird, because when I was in the Marines, they wanted me to be a pilot. I have 20/15 vision, but now like anything that's like close up is fuzzy. So I got vision stuff I'm going through.
That's crazy, man.
I got injuries that are not healing. Like, they can't figure out why my body's not healing. They go, it could be from the hypothermia, it could be from a number of things. But I mean, I've had more injections than I can possibly count at this point for, my wrist. And I've got, other issues going on with knees and things like that. And they do MRIs and scans. I'm like, your tendons are fine, but we don't know why you still have pain here. So they're still trying to figure a lot of things out that are supplemental from the issues that I encountered while I was out there. And all of them are directly related to the hypothermia from what I was told. They said between that, your body core temperature, the lack of food, lack of water, all those different things just kind of added up. But to me, I mean, I feel like I'm probably like at a very high percentage of where I used to be now, because I kind of got it dialed in to where I can still go to the gym, I can train, I can run my businesses that I have, without much of an issue. So as long as I have that, I can deal with the other stuff. So like shooting a bow, like my left wrist right here, that's my hand, my grabbing hand. If I grab it the wrong way, like it's hard to keep the bow stable now. And I'm like, what the hell? Like it just won't go away. So we're trying to work through issues like that. But it's just disappointing.
How many months? It's like that was September. So
it's almost 1 year, September 13th of last year. I arrived there September 12th. I got there. I started hunting on the 13th. And they found us at 2:30 a.m. the 15th.
Jeez, man.
Approximately. Yeah.
That's a hell of a story, Mike. That's a hell of a story.
Yeah.
I'm glad you made it through it. I'm glad that you got Earl through it, even though Earl didn't do much to help. But man, I've heard 200 plus episodes of this, with just hundreds of stories. Nothing compares to what you went through, man. So I'm glad you were able to just like buckle down, be with it until you got rescued. It's crazy how quickly your body was like, okay, I'm done fighting. I'll let someone else do it for me. Because even like the last little bit was just as crazy as the rest of it. So, geez, man.
Yeah, and you had asked about Earl. I kind of skipped over when you asked about Earl, so I apologize for that.
That's fine.
When I saw him in the hospital, when he got wheeled into the hospital, I started crying because I thought he was dead. Because they all the rooms have like curtains. There's no like private rooms with doors or anything. Yeah. And I literally thought the guy was dead. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, that's terrible, whatever. So 6 hours later, somewhere around there where I could kind of get up out of the bed and I had like this little like walking thing that they kind of gave me. And I just kind of went, and then I saw him standing up in his little room, and I'm like, oh man, he's alive. This is great, And he just comes up. He's like, thank you so much. He goes, and he's crying. He's like, I'd be dead if it wasn't for you. I'm so sorry for what I did, and this and this and this. And then immediately the tribe took him away. Like the people that were from the tribe took him away.
Mafia,
and I just sat there. And I'm like, okay, that was weird, but I wasn't compartmentalizing everything at this point. Like, why is all this happening? I was just thankful to be alive. I was like, thank God we're out of that mountain and, we're good. And so, Earl never called me. The guide never called me. They're on basically a gag order. They're not allowed to talk to anybody. Yeah. I didn't threaten them with a lawsuit or anything. Like the guy, Wayne, his son died. I found out a few months later, and I sent him a text saying, hey man, I'm so sorry to hear about the loss of your son. I hope all is well, this. And I think I got like a thumbs up or something like that back. And I was like, okay, whatever. So then I wait another month or two.
How'd you hear about his son? Like, what was the...
I heard about his son through another hunter that had called his guide that was in camp. And he said, hey, I was able to get in touch with my guide and I'm not invited back next year. And I'm like, how are you not invited back? You didn't do anything. He goes, I don't know, but things are weird right now. He goes, I've been going there for years and I'm not, like, they're not inviting me back. And then he had found out through that guy, who is one of like their head guides, that Wayne's son had passed. And then he told me. Okay. So for me, at this point, I didn't realize that Wayne was who Wayne is. That I didn't know that he was just flat out lying about, everything, and that he was intentionally trying to avoid me, because my last conversation with him was, I'm going to do everything I can to make this right. And that conversation happened twice. Once as I was leaving, and then once at the dinner that one night. And he did not honor his word or even try to honor his word, which has given me a much different view of that tribe. Because I grew up around the Seminole Indians and the Miccosukee Indians here in Florida. All of them are very honorable people. I was friends with a lot of them. We'd hang out, we'd go fishing, we'd be in the swamps together, whatever. I can't say that about the White Mountain Apache troops. They're just, it's very disappointing, because for them to intentionally try to hinder that and intentionally lie to save their own asses. But when I provided proof to the sheriff for the tribe, he's like, I got a bigger issue on my hands right now. And then I never heard anything back from that. So then I wrote Wayne an email, and this was 3-4 months ago, because I'm like, I haven't heard from this guy. He's probably mourning the death of his son, which I completely understand. And I just wrote him an email. It was very simple. It was just like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. You promised that you were going to make things right. And now you won't return my calls. This. I go, I know that I didn't do anything wrong. I go, can we talk, whatever. And then he just sends me this nasty email back. And his email was attacking my military career.
Oh, wow.
His email, oh yeah. No, he got like real nasty with stuff, like basically blaming me for the way that things went when we're in the mountain. Meanwhile, when he was in the hospital with me at my bedside, he was like, thank you for saving our tribal member's life and this. And, you were the one that navigated him back because he told us this, and this is so great and all this other stuff. But now, again, I think he's just trying to cover his ass via having an email chain. And he just wrote some things, and then I just wrote back. I don't want to say that it was like a fuck you email, but it was pretty much like that. I was like, this is disgusting, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't like to go down that route with anybody. For me, I'm like, life's too short to be miserable. And the world as we know it today has changed a lot to where everybody's pissed off all the time and miserable. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, it's a freaking hunt camp. Things go right, things go wrong, but there's a right way and a wrong way to handle it. And then next thing I know is where I'm getting, this letter in the mail from White Mountain Apache with a partial reimbursement check for the hunt.
Partial.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like,
blows my mind.
I'm like, you guys destroyed my bow, which, I had a Matthews V3X, so I got probably $2,500 into that bow. You destroyed my pack, all my gear. My hunting boots were shredded. They were just done. I mean, completely gone. and like where I had holes in them from all these things that we were going through. And they, they were Danners, which Danners are, decent boots. I switched to Kenetrek since then because I'm like, I don't want to get holes in my boots,
Yeah.
But they weren't cheap boots. I mean, Danners are a decent brand of boot, but I guess, with being in the terrain that we were in, they just did not hold up. Stitching came out, all kinds of stuff. And so, yeah, man, that's the story on that one. I appreciate you having me on to tell it. And
Dude, thank you for reaching out. This was amazing. This is an episode that stands out. Like, I'm gonna start. People ask me all the time, like, "Oh, what episode should I start with?" And I give them a handful of different ones. You just made the list of episodes that people need to start with. Just understand the craziness of what can happen out there. I've got goats shooting off mountains. I got people walking in their underpants backwards towards antelope. People pooping their pants, and now we have this. We have all sorts of different things going on. But this is a unique story. I think it shares a lot of lessons. Hopefully everyone, especially, people out east that are coming out west, understand, like, hey, I need to have certain things in my pack, and by no fault of your own, man. Like, if I was in an outfitter and they said, here's what we do, here's how we handle this, that's exactly how I'd prepare. I wouldn't have made it in your scenario. So I'm glad that you're here talking to me. Your training probably definitely kept you alive, man, and Earl. So thanks for sharing
the guys
with us,
in
man.
camp when I got there, I was the youngest guy in camp. Other than the guy that was from that TV show, I'm positive he was younger than me. I think he was like late 30s, early 40s. At least he looked that way.
Yeah.
And
have you talked to them at all?
I reached out. I don't have a way to communicate with them. I exchanged phone numbers with a lot of people there on day 2 before I got lost. So the ones that I could, and one of those guys was in his camp. It's a guy from Oregon. And he's like, yeah, dude, reach out. Let's go hunt in Oregon. You're a lot of fun. He goes, do you mind getting in brush? And anyway, super nice guys. But I did try to reach out. Didn't hear back. I don't know, because he has a TV show, that maybe they're still letting him go there just because they want that, exposure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it was a very wild ride. And all the guys in camp, they came up to me as I was basically just like laid out in the lodge, and they brought me food to eat because I could barely stand up at that point. And like the guides and everybody's hugging me, and they're like, we're glad it was you. And I'm like, you're glad it was
everyone
me?
else would die.
You're the only one that would have survived this, because all the other guys were like somewhere in their 70s, their 60s, not in the best of shape, not in bad shape by any means, but they're like, a lot of these guys that come here would not survive out in that wilderness for as long as you guys did. And he goes, and the fact that you saved our tribal member, that means more than you could ever know. And I was like, yeah, man. I go, look, it's just, I'm not trying to like be a hero. I go, but it's the right thing to do, because he was going the wrong way. Your guides have zero training, like land navigation. There's like no training for bird dogs. So you should probably put that in your SOP. And, yeah, man, it was just cool. But the reason why I put it online, when I first started hunting and going out west over a decade ago, there's almost no information on these outfitters.
Yeah.
And people don't write things online to me accurately because they always want to kiss the ass of the outfitter. If you have a bad experience, generally share it, because new hunters need to know this stuff. And so I've written, good reviews, bad reviews, in between, saying, hey, you can go here, but you're not going to see elk. I don't care what they say to you. We didn't see a single elk for 6 days.
Yeah.
And, that could be on a lot of different factors, migratory patterns, things like that. But I just believe, like, you got to notify people, because I didn't have that. Like, every outfitter that I was finding, because a lot of them, if you go on, like, say, Facebook, and you're on, like, Western Hunters page or Outfitters, page or whatever it is, it's all their friends and family that are saying, this guy's great. We harvested a 370 bull and nobody else has done that, and whatever. And it's bullshit. And a lot of them they'll pull pictures. Thank God for Perplexity and ChatGPT and AI. You can take those pictures, put them in there, and it'll tell you exactly which outfitter shot that one, because it's on their website. But these guys will pull them and make it look like it's their business. And so for me, like, I want to let other people know, hey, if you are a new hunter and you are not experienced out west, be careful who you go with, because it could be a great experience, but what they're selling you is basically a used car with a seized up engine. Yeah. So this is what actually happens in these camps.
I believe it, man. I believe it. So Well, Mike, I want to get you back on. I want to get you back on soon. Normally, I'm like, well, we'll wait a year. But I want to hear about you getting held at gunpoint on that one hunt and all the other stories that you and that I know you have for
I've
us.
got the picture right here on the phone, man.
There we go, man. Well, let's do this. Do you have any socials or anything you want to share, or do you just want to walk off into the woods?
Nah, man, I just came to talk on your podcast. I don't want to promote my businesses or any stuff like that.
Okay.
I mean, that's not what I'm here for.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you so much. We're gonna stay in touch. I'm actually down in Florida pretty often, so let's grab a beer sometime.
Yeah,
but man,
you can go out on my
thank
boat, go do some offshore fishing if you want.
Sign me up. I just booked my flight. Let's go. All right, Mike, man. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. To you listeners, I hope you guys enjoyed this story. We'll have Mike back on here soon. I guarantee. Thank you, sir. All right, guys. That's it. Another amazing story in the books. Obviously, Mike teased a few more. I'm going to get him back here soon because that was a ton of fun. The story that he told today is really unbelievable, but there's no reason that he would lie. Obviously, it is a true story. He had the hospital bands. He had all of the paperwork he was showing to me on the camera. Really crazy stuff. If you have a crazy story, feel free to reach out. Love to have you on. Mike, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm excited to get you back on and maybe go fishing in Florida. But to you listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. I do appreciate you. You know what's next. Get out there, guys. It's about that season, and make some stories of your own.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Robert Arrington from Deer Meat for Dinner. If you're as serious as I am about bow fishing, check out Cajun Bow Fishing. No matter where you go or what you do, from the beginners all the way to the pro, Cajun makes stuff for everybody. Everything they make works. Compound bows, recurve bows, accessories, everything. They make it so easy to get dialed in so that every shot counts. I've been using Cajun for years, all over the place, down in Florida, across the Midwest, everywhere. Everywhere I go, it works because they make stuff that you can trust. Be sure to check out Cajun Bow Fishing to see their full lineup.